What's up, everybody? I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'll be breaking down our first fight for UFC Fight Night Perth, coming to us this Saturday, May 2nd. This is overall, I think, going to be a very awesome card, without a doubt. The first card in May, and honestly, looking at just the month of May for combat sports, it's going to be a very interesting month. You got Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carranzo. um, Alexander Usyk versus Rico Verhoeven, and some other very actually insanely important fights for the world of boxing, like Naino Inoue is fighting this month. David Benavidez is fighting this month, and of course, all the cards this month, UFC 328 is the card to pay attention to. I think that goes without saying. As for the as for this week exactly, there's some very big cards. Like I said, not just UFC Perf, but also running concurrently. You basically have actually two of my favorite boxers. Two of my favorite active boxers right now fighting on the same day as UFC Perf. You have Naino Inoue taking on, excuse me, taking on Junto Nakatani, which is huge for the world of Japanese boxing. And of the same day as well, you have David Benavidez trying to become a 3-weight world champion as he takes on Gilberto Ramirez. Ramirez. So I have a few big fights to cover this week. But like I said, this is going to be either the first fight for UFC Fight Night Perf. I will say this kind of sucks because this card, I believe, starts at 4 a.m. Eastern time for us Americans. But you know what? Most of the time, the Aussie fans and the English fans have to deal with that type of stuff for us Westerners, for us Eastern time. So I think this one makes sense. But overall, like I said, I think this card is going to be phenomenal. The main event, oh my God, I cannot wait for the main event between Jack Della Maddalena and Carlos Prates. I am salivating at talking about that fight. I'm salivating, thinking about watching that fight. It's going to be fireworks. There's some great fights in there as well. Like I said, Beneil Dariush versus Quinlan Saltil, Tim Elliott versus Steve Ursay. I think those are the big three fights. The rest of the card has some fun fights, has some potential for some finishes, and just a good showing of Australian talent. With that out of the way, let's get to our first fight. Our first fight up, we have Kody Steele taking on Dom Marfan. This is one of those fights where it feels pretty straightforward at first glance, but you dig into it, there are going to be some real questions about how this plays out. More specifically, depending on what version of Kody Steele we're going to get. Now, looking at our two fighters, starting with Dom Marfan, he's currently 9-2 as a professional, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. For Fan, he just most recently made his UFC debut and won in February against Sung-Kyu Kim, which honestly was a great display by Fan, where he really got to show all of his technical acumen, especially his striking and clinch work. And I'm very interested to see how far he can go at 26 years old. I think Street Buddha is going to be a very interesting player at 155 pounds. Now, he takes on Kody Steele, who's currently 7-1 as a pro, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. For Kody Steele, he made his debut last February here against Ron Ju, where Kody Steele kind of just fought very emotional. He fought mostly using his striking and not his best aspect, which is his wrestling and grappling, and lost a fun fight. It was fun for sure, but lost a fight that he honestly could have won if he fought differently. So it'll be interesting, like I said, to see what version of Kody Steele we're going to get. Now, with that out of the way, let's get down to the breakdown. Starting with Steele, the foundation of his game is very clear. High-level grappling, good wrestling, strong jiu-jitsu, and when Kody Steele leans into that, he looks like a problem. He's physical, aggressive, and more than capable of controlling opponents on the ground or threatening with submissions. The issue is, Steele doesn't always fight like that. Lately, Steele has shown a tendency to fall in love with his striking instead of using his grappling to set the tone. He's willing to engage in brawls, throw big shots, or try to overwhelm opponents on the feet, like you saw with Ron Ju. Two Kody Steele's credit, he does have power, and he does attack the body well. We saw it on Contender Series against Chase Blair. Did I pronounce it? Yes, Chase and Blair, where Kody Steele won via a body shot. So Kody Steele does have some good skills on the feet. It's just, it feels disconnected at times. Rather than blending his wrestling and striking together, it often feels like Steele chooses one or the other, and too often it's the striking. If Steele comes in with a smart game plan, mix in takedowns, use pressure, forcing grappling exchanges, he can absolutely make this fight or any of his fights in the future competitive. But if he decides to stand and trade for long stretches, I think that's where things get risky for him. Now, looking at Dom Marfan, on the other side, he's a very different fighter. A much more smooth, technical striker who's comfortable at multiple ranges. What stands out immediately for me was Dom Marfan's composure. He doesn't rush, he doesn't overextend, and he's very good at keeping fights where he wants them. From the outside, Fawn is sharp, clean strikes, good timing, and a solid understanding of distance. But what really made me think, damn, this guy is really good, is that clinch game. Marfan is extremely efficient in close quarters. Defends takedowns well in the clinch, uses frames and positioning intelligently, and he's constantly working knees to the body, elbows on the break, short shots that add up over time. I mean, you saw it against Sung Yu Kim. Fawn was just tearing him apart in the clinch with those elbows. And we've kind of seen it, right? Sung Yu Kim and Kody Steele have a sort of similar type of style. Now, I think Kody Steele is a level above with his striking, grappling, and wrestling. But Fawn has essentially faced a pressure-heavy fighter who wants to push him to the fence and wrestle. Fawn handled it well, defending the takedowns, staying composed, and punishing Kim in that sense, both at range and in the clinch. And maybe he could do the same to Kody Steele. Now, stylistically, this comes down to a simple question. Does Steele fight smart or does he fight emotionally? Because the path to victory for him is there. If he commits to his wrestling, chain takedowns, and force Marfan to defend over and over, I can see Steele making this a very difficult fight. But if he stands in trade, he's playing directly into Marfan's strength, because Dom Marfan is the cleaner striker of the two. He's more technical, more composed. He's much better at managing distance. On top of that, his clinch work makes it even harder, in my opinion, for Steele to safely close the gap and even initiate grappling. So, for more or less my final assessment, this is a fight where Steele potentially has a path to victory. It's very clear, but it relies heavily on discipline. Marfan doesn't need to change much. He just needs to fight his fight, stay technical, manage distance, and punish mistakes. Given what we've seen recently of Steele, I don't fully trust he's going to consistently lean on his grappling here. And if that's the case, this becomes a much more comfortable fight for Marfan. So, for my official prediction, I'm going with Dom Marfan, and I'm going to pick him via decision. I think he keeps the fight standing for the majority of the time, controls the exchanges, and pick Steele apart over the course of 3 rounds. I think Steele is very tough, and I think he's going to be very hard to get out of there. That's why I lean towards more of a decision than a finish. But like I said, there is a path to victory. If Kody Steele wrestles more than he did in his first fight, he can win this. But I just don't trust that he's actually going to do it. So, once again, I'm picking Dom Marfan, and I'm going to pick him via decision. But with that being said, that's been my breakdown of this matchup. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. Remember, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.